Welcome back to Gaming Safe Space, the channel where we dive deep into the gaming world, no holds barred. Today we're tackling something that's been on my mind for a while. Does Nintendo get it too easy? Specifically, I'm talking about how games like Super Mario and The Legend of Zelda seem to get showered with praise, while other franchises like Assassin's Creed or FIFA get called out for doing the same thing, releasing iterative titles with small tweaks. I've got some thoughts, some facts, and yeah, maybe a little bias of my own to unpack here. So, grab your controller, settle in, and let's get into it. Oh, and stick around to the end. I want to hear what you think in the comments. Let's start with a confession. I didn't grow up with Nintendo. No NES in my house, no Super Mario Bros. On loop, no Ocarina of Time shaping my childhood. My first real taste of Nintendo came later with Mario Kart and some of the Mario sports games, titles I genuinely love. Don't get me wrong. They're fun, polished, and great for a quick gaming session. But when I look at the broader Nintendo catalog, especially the big hitters like Mario and Zelda, I can't help but feel like they're coasting on something other franchises don't have. A free pass from the industry and fans alike. And I think a big part of that is nostalgia. Think about it. Super Mario Odyssey drops in 2017, gets a 97 on Metacritic. 97. That's insane. Critics call it a masterpiece, a return to form, a love letter to fans. But strip away the nostalgia goggles for a sec. What's it really doing that's so revolutionary? Mario's jumping around, collecting stuff, exploring colorful worlds. It's fun, sure, but it's not like it's reinventing the wheel. Compare that to Assassin's Creed Origins, also 2017. It overhauled the series with a new RPG system, a massive open world, and a fresh setting in ancient Egypt. It scored an 81, solid but nowhere near Odyssey. And yet, you'll find plenty of reviews docking Assassin's Creed points for feeling samey or bloated. Meanwhile, Mario does what Mario's always done. Jump, collect, repeat, and it's hailed as genius. Why the double standard? Now, let's break this down a bit. Nintendo's been making Mario games since 1981 with Donkey Kong, and the mainline Super Mario series has pumped out, 17 games by now. That's not counting spin-offs like Mario Kart, Mario Party, or the sports titles. Over 40 years, that averages out to a new mainline Mario every 2.5 years or so. Assassin's Creed, on the other hand, kicked off in 2007 and has 13 mainline games as of 2025, plus a ton of spin-offs. That's a new one roughly every 1.4 years. So yeah, Ubisoft's churning them out faster, but the criticism is relentless. Oh, another Assassin's Creed, same old stealth and climbing. But when Super Mario Bros. Wonder comes out in 2023 with new power-ups and 2D platforming, it's a 92 on Metacritic, and everyone's losing their minds over how fresh it feels. Really? It's Mario jumping on Goombas again. Where's the outrage? I get it. Mario games are tight. The controls are crisp, the levels are clever, and they've got that Nintendo polish. But let's not pretend they're breaking new ground every time. Take New Super Mario Bros., a sub-series that ran from 2006 to 2012 across 4 main games. Same 2D formula, same enemies, same Rescue Peach plot. Critics ate it up, scores in the 80s and 90s, while FIFA gets slammed for yearly releases with updated rosters and minor gameplay tweaks. FIFA 23 scored a 76, and reviews pointed fingers at EA for not doing enough. But isn't that what New Super Mario Bros. Did for 6 years? Small changes, same core? If EA's guilty, why isn't Nintendo? Then there's The Legend of Zelda. Oh boy, where do I begin? Breath of the Wild launched in 2017 alongside the Nintendo Switch and became an instant darling. It's sitting at a 97 on Metacritic, tied with Super Mario Odyssey for one of the highest-rated games of that year. People call it a revolution, a game changer, the best open-world game ever. And yeah, it's good. I've played it. It's gorgeous. It's fun. But let's pump the brakes. Compared to something like The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which came out 2 years earlier in 2015 and scored a 93, Breath of the Wild isn't doing anything wildly new. Open world? Check. Side quests? Check. Crafting and exploration? Check. The Witcher 3 has all that, plus a deeper story, complex characters, and choices that actually matter. Breath of the Wild has cooking recipes and a silent protagonist. Yet somehow, Zelda gets the crown, and The Witcher is just an RPG. Bias much? Here's a fun fact. Breath of the Wild sold about 32 million copies by early 2025, which is huge for a Switch exclusive. The Witcher 3, over 50 million across multiple platforms. Sales don't equal quality, sure, but it shows The Witcher resonated with a massive audience too. So why does Breath of the Wild get treated like it invented open-world gaming? I'd argue it's that Nintendo magic. People grew up with Zelda, they've got Link tattooed on their hearts, and that nostalgia clouds their judgment. Meanwhile, Assassin's Creed Odyssey in 2018, a sprawling open-world RPG with naval combat, a rich story, and dual protagonists, scores an 83. Solid, but not Zelda-level worship. Critics praised it, but you'll still see gripes about it being too big or repetitive. Breath of the Wild has empty stretches of Hyrule too, but that's minimalist brilliance. Come on. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Nintendo's different. They focus on gameplay, not graphics or bloat. Fair point. Nintendo doesn't chase photorealism like Ubisoft or EA. The Switch isn't a powerhouse. It's underclocked hardware from 2015, basically a souped-up tablet. But that's not an excuse for getting a pass on innovation. Zelda. Tears of the Kingdom. In 2023, another 96 on Metacritic builds on Breath of the Wild with Sky Islands and building mechanics. Cool, but it's still the same engine, same world, same Link. Compare that to Assassin's Creed Valhalla in 2020, which shifted to Viking England with settlement building and new combat systems, yet it lands an 84 with complaints of franchise fatigue. Tears of the Kingdom could have been called Breath of the Wild 2, and no one would have batted an eye. Where's the fatigue call out there? Let's talk Pokémon for a sec, the one Nintendo series that does get some flack. Pokémon Sword and Shield in 2019 scored an 80, and fans were vocal about the missing national decks and reused animations. Fair criticism. Game Freak's been pumping out Pokémon yearly or close to it since 1996, and it shows. But even then, it's rare for critics to go as hard as they do on, say, FIFA or Call of Duty. Pokémon Scarlet and Violet in 2022 had glaring performance issues. Frame drops, pop-in, you name it, yet still pulled in 72 on Metacritic. Not great, but not the roasting you'd expect for a 8AA title launching in that state. If Ubisoft shipped Assassin's Creed with those bugs, it'd be a bloodbath. Unity in 2014 launched broken and scored a 70. Ubisoft had to apologize and give out free DLC. Nintendo? They just patch it quietly and move on. So, what's the deal? Why does Nintendo get the kid gloves treatment? I think it's a mix of nostalgia and branding. Nintendo's been around since the 80s. They've got Mario and Zelda woven into gaming's DNA. A 2021 survey by the Entertainment Software Association found 80% of US gamers played video games as kids, and for a lot of them, that means Nintendo. That emotional tie runs deep. Ubisoft and EA don't have that. They're newer, seen as corporate machines churning out annualized cash grabs. Nintendo's the quirky underdog, even though they're a billion-dollar company too. Their games hit that sweet spot of simple but refined, and people eat it up. But let's not kid ourselves. It's not always innovation driving those 90-plus scores. It's love. Look, I'm not saying Mario and Zelda are bad games. Far from it, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is my go-to for a good time. It sold over 60 million copies by 2025, making it the Switch's biggest hit. I get why people adore Nintendo, but the double standard bugs me. If Assassin's Creed or FIFA get dinged for playing it safe, why not Nintendo? Super Mario 3D All-Stars in 2020 was literally 3 old games bundled together, barely touched up, and it scored an 82. Imagine Ubisoft selling Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and Brotherhood as a $60 pack with no upgrades. The internet would riot. Nintendo does it, and it's a nostalgic treat. Here's my take. The industry's got a bias, and it's not just reviewers. It's us, the players. I didn't grow up with Nintendo, so maybe I'm missing that warm, fuzzy feeling. I see Breath of the Wild next to Odyssey, not Zelda, and I'm like, okay, this is good, but it's not God tier. Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, gave me 100 hours of Greek adventure, naval battles, and a story I still think about. Breath of the Wild gave me shrines and a horse that kept running off cliffs. Both are great, but one's not twice as good as the other. Nostalgia's a hell of a drug, and it's skewing the scales. So, what do you think? Am I onto something, or am I just a Nintendo outsider missing the point? Maybe it's not bias. Maybe Nintendo's just that good at what they do. But next time a Mario or Zelda game drops and the 1010s roll in, ask yourself, would Assassin's Creed get the same love for the same effort? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm dying to hear if you agree, disagree, or just want to yell at me about Link. If you like this rant, smash that like button, subscribe to Gaming Safe Space, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. Until then, keep gaming, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next video.